Hi all! So I got the most incredible responses to the Money Flow Challenge. Creative, thoughtful, and surprisingly diverse. Now let's take a look at how I see it. There are two forces you must map. The first is time, that only moves forward continuously. Okay, so let's say the time starts here and it goes all the way to your company, okay? At this example, we'll have 4 milestones, okay? So I'm gonna mark them. First milestone, second, third, and the last one, okay? Sorry for my drawing. I'm not the best artist there is, but I hope you'll keep tracking. Anyway, so we have these 4 milestones. Now we deal with the money, and let's see what happens when we try to do that. Money moves forward from the client, but also loops back toward expenses. And let me show you. Now we're going to deal with the core that we gathered here to talk about, the money. The client pays us, so the money moves towards your company. And then at the end of the first milestone, it makes a loop and goes back to expenses, right? Because the client paid you, but now we have expenses. It can be your employees, system development, or parts, or whatever you're manufacturing. It doesn't matter. There's an income at each milestone, and then you have the expense related to that milestone. Okay, so let's move on. So that was the first milestone. What happens in the second one? Let's see. So the client pays you again, and it pays you the second milestone, and it ends here. Why? Because it's not parallel. You can see that we moved backwards. So our starting point for milestone 2 isn't parallel to time. Okay, so now we're here, and then at the second milestone we have the same story. What you probably already know, that milestone 2 and milestone 3 most of the times are the most expensive milestone from your point of view, because it costs you the most. And then you have the expenses, and they are great expenses, and you can see that almost everything you've received in milestone 2 will go to your expenses. Every company has its own structure and project management, and it might not be 100% to what is happening in your company. You can stop the expenses wherever it's right for you. I'm going for the extreme example of manufacturing. It can also happen with softwares and hardwares. It doesn't matter, because at this stage you're developing, you're manufacturing, you're using all of your sources to create the service or the product that you promised your client. So we had the expenses, and now we're moving to milestone 3. And what happens there? Again, the client pays us for milestone 3, let's say till here, and you have expenses again, and you go back, and then we get to milestone 4, and that is the most beautiful milestone, because we do not have there much expenses, because we're at the end of the project and most of the expenses are already behind us, so we end up here. Now I want to ask you, can you see it clearly now that time moves only in one way and money moves forward and backward? So it means they're not parallel through the project life. So I want to ask you the next question in this challenge, and the next question is, what if there's milestone 5 because the project is delayed on your side? What will happen to the money if there's a delay? I want you to answer it alone. You can send me your answers, or you can draw it down, and I'll meet you in the next video. Thanks for staying with me, and keep following.